YouTube looks and sounds good too. So, welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is Thursday.
It is Thursday.
And we are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our services or software. And if you have any of those, you can jump over to our page at foolishtechshow.com. We have an IRC chat that you can join there and talk with us directly, ask us any of those questions, or you can direct our conversation. So, because otherwise we're going to fill the air with random whatever. And speaking of that, how's everyone doing today?
Oh, just fine, thanks. John, I'm sorry, or Nick, I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Yeah.
How's everybody else? I think Proctor, you're doing good, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Great.
Did my daily workout in the morning, and it's given me quite a bit of energy today.
I found that out too when I was doing the workout thing. It did provide me a pick me up. How about you, Tank? You hanging in there?
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Good. Glad to hear it.
You're doing workouts in the morning and evening, Proctor?
No, just today I did it in the morning.
Oh. Okay, because you said plural, and that usually means...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's
every
vigorous.
other day this week I've done it in the evening, but the day I did it in the morning.
Well, I mean, keeping it happening and fitting it into your schedule on a daily basis repetitively like you've been doing is awesome. Keep it up. The hard part is, of course, just that, though, keeping it up. So routine, I found, is always important. It's very hard if the schedule always changes. But if you can...
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I'd gotten into the routine and kept it going for a long time, and then I fell out of the routine, and it's been really hard to get back into it.
Yeah. It is, and that's what I recommend. If you've got some routine and it's working for you out there, as long as it's a positive routine like exercise or something like that, please continue with it and don't give it up. Giving it up sounds easy. Oh, I'll just give it up for a week, or I'll just give it up for a few days. It's ruining. It might actually undo all the potentially years of work you may have done otherwise. But don't take my word for it.
Yeah, thanks for that uplifting way to get us to do things. You're Catholic, aren't you?
Partially raised that way.
So, Phoenix in our chat post about Kickass Torrents domain names being seized, and the guy did get arrested, and he's facing, it's like $4 million or $2 billion.
It's a lot of money.
Or something in charges, and honestly, I was surprised and thought it was a little bit less than what I would have expected for Kickass being the #1 torrent search site.
Oh yeah, it's a large infringement. So yeah, but
yeah, $1 billion. That's not much at all for.
Listen, who has ever coughed up that amount of actual money in forfeitures? I mean, you might have that hanging over your head as a bounty, but nobody's ever paying that amount of money, especially individuals that may actually be doing it for criminal enterprise, in which case the money's already spent or already called for, spoken for. So yeah, do with that.
Well, and I doubt that he made that much money off of any of that. Like,
yeah,
I've used Kickass torrents. I don't remember paying anybody anything. So
yeah, I'm a little unclear. Did he get advertising money from the site?
Unless it had ads, I don't know that it was revenue producing at all.
It probably did have ads, but still, I have ad blockers and all that stuff on it. So
yeah, it is debatable. So yeah, even if there was an actual value you could put for each one of them, and it was tangible,
but they don't go off the value of how much it cost you to distribute it. They go off the value of how much they think that their stuff is worth. Yeah, and that's what I was telling Tank this morning. I think $1 billion is kind of undervalued because like how many TV shows, movies, music, games, applications, all of those put together are way more than $1 billion worth of potential revenue.
I don't know. I mean, everyone likes to overinflate the value of something. Just like, Trump claims his brand, his name is worth, $10 billion. In reality, Forbes seems to think it's closer to something like, maybe 4 billion or something. There's a big discrepancies in actual value and brand value that sometimes gets gets thrown around.
Well, I think once you get up to a point where you're slapping $1 billion something on anything, you just, especially this, you can probably go, that's probably good enough. We'll never get any close to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, I think sometimes large numbers are fictional the way lawyers throw them around.
Why wouldn't they just go larger then? I want 80 billion.
Well, they tried that, and then they realized that wasn't working. And
there
then
may be some limitations within the law that restrict how much you can be awarded.
That's true. A lot
billion?
of the laws.
$1 billion?
But
the restriction could be on the number of infringements. They may have only named a certain number of infringements in the charge.
Yeah,
well, this is
a lot of different details in there that we don't.
Just like I found out recently when you did what I.
The only other people I know that pay $1 billion for anything are corporations. Like, I've never seen anyone have to pay $1 billion.
Because
I've seen
nobody would ever sue an individual for $1 billion and ever hope to expect to get it out of them, except unless you were to sue, certain specific people you knew had.
Even criminal cases, though, I've never seen individuals get $1 billion fine.
Yeah, and these numbers are largely meaningless. And how can there's not that monetary fining type loss when you have severe federal crime, violations. What can you do, to get that type of penalty? But I mean, they can throw you the chair, but they can't, or not the chair, but they can do death penalty, but they can't.
Well, he was arrested in Poland.
Fine on something.
Holland?
Poland.
Oh, Poland.
Yeah. I wonder what happens there.
Okay. So listen, I wanted to bring this
up.
Why
was that funny?
I have no idea.
I didn't know it's pronounced in more than one way, but anyway.
Poland? How do you pronounce Poland?
Forget it.
Poland?
No, nothing. I was.
Poland.
Okay.
How do you pronounce it, Michael?
I pronounce it Poland, but anyway.
Who else pronounces it?
Poland, is it?
Yeah, who else pronounces it how?
I thought I heard somebody else pronounce it some other way. My apologies. I must have been.
What way was that?
I don't know. If it was in my head, I'd rather not repeat it. If it wasn't an actual person that said it. Hey, hi, Ann Chat 206976.
Hi.
Welcome. If we can do anything for you, please let us know. And USS Rover's back. But anyway, I was discussing this.
Hold on, wait. China has banned ad blocking.
Yep. I read that story too. Did you not expect them to do something like that?
China? Why would China ban ads?
China's very pro.
They want to distract people.
No, China's very pro capitalism. So they want basically you get the ads. They don't want you to block the ads, and they certainly don't want you to block anything they're going to be pushing down, their government, as far as their news feeds and everything. So any type of software that could be used to limit that, it would certainly be against. It's totally in line with with their consistent policy for the past forever, with in my opinion at least. But it is interesting that I mean, I just think it's in line. In fact, I would argue that it took them long enough to kind of take action on that, because a lot of other places, I mean, a lot of other just websites within this country don't allow ad blocking and allow you to go to the website. If they're doing that here, you better be darn sure they're gonna be doing that in China. But I'm just surprised we look at it so lightly the way it's done for companies within the U.S. I mean, we cry foul when China does it, of course, but that's consistent with them. Like I said, it's inconsistent with our behavior. Yet it started, that type of blocking started here first. But anyway, more toward a less political talk. Chrome 52 and its removal of App Launcher. Now, I'd never really used it. I mean, I know you could put apps on, your desktop, launch them. You could have the, and a Chromebook kind of revolved around that. Brantley's talked to me about that, but apparently he was one of the few users, because it wasn't apparently a whole lot according to Google, at least, although that remains to be seen. He seems to think it was something that was very powerful, very good. He uses it on a regular basis, from what I understand. I'd like you to talk about that and why you're sad to see it go, and maybe if you have a better reason other than what Google provided for that.
Oh no, I don't like the launcher at all.
What's missing?
They're going to be removing the app launcher, and it was announced. I have the article on the announcement of why that they were going to do it, but
you just said Chrome 52.
Yeah, the wasn't that, aren't we at 51 right now?
I'm on 52.
Okay, well, app launcher, apparently now when you'll get a warning or whatever if you try to launch app launcher.
No, not yet. Anyway.
Well, do you use app launcher? Do you launch Google apps from your desktop icons?
Well, they don't. Yeah, they don't. I didn't know you could run Keep any other way. Most people don't. Most people just use it through Chrome. But you can.
I just go to keep.google.com.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was never. I never even thought about that. It's always been an app for me.
Yeah.
I started using it.
So that for me as well. So largely, that's what Google is saying, that most people don't use it like Brantley does, and they want to keep Chrome lean, so they're taking it out. But Brantley apparently has used it and
keep Chrome lean. What?
Well, maybe not keep. Maybe that's a bad word. Maybe try to make it more lean, or make it leaner moving forward. I don't know what's good to say about that, but
it's a beast of crap anyway.
But maybe this is good response to Microsoft's Edge advertising, where they're trying to say Edge is going to improve your battery life, Edge is going to improve your performance, Edge is just going to do all this to your computer. I don't believe them all to be true, but at least it's keeping Google and Chrome on their toes. And if it does cause them to speed up the product or to lower memory usage, I don't care about the performance so much, but the memory usage. Why do you need 50 gigs of memory for performance? I mean, certainly, I'd rather you just stop working if it takes that much to maintain performance. But at any rate, so that article right there just explains Google's reasoning on that. And they were announced it in July, and that's when it's happening today. Lots of developer features, but I'm not a big web developer, so I don't have a whole lot of insight into that. But it's a much longer list, other than the dropping of the app thing. So I thought that was interesting. You guys can take a look at that. Did I just close a window? I don't want it open. I'm sure I did. What did I do?
Here is the safety video for fireworks released by the government. Remember, this is released by the government. Tax dollars paid for this video. It's 7 minutes of people blowing themselves up with fireworks.
I was talking to Brantley about this as well, but thank you for the fireworks display, by the way. But Verizon is taking a further step to get people off the unlimited plans. In this case, disconnecting them from the network if they go over 100 gigs a month, and failing to reconnect them until they sign away the unlimited privileges that they did work so hard to pay for in the first place. I think this should have been handled differently, and I think this is just another example of companies with monopolies basically, charging customers for, basically charging them more for nothing, giving them less and charging them more. Just like I get the privilege of, I was talking about.
But if they have a contract that says they have that, and then Verizon cuts them off, can they not just complain?
You'd think they could argue. You'd think they could argue, but
FCC.
you would think.
Where's the FCC complaint page? Post the damn link.
Mhm.
They have to respond within 30 days. FCC will contact them for you.
Oh, well,
And
let's
they have to respond to the FCC in 30 days, and they actually take your side.
let me post that again for everyone. Let's see. It's easy. Consumercomplaints.fcc.gov.
I think anyone with those unlimited contracts, they're no longer actually bound to the term of the contract. So either the customer or Verizon can choose to discontinue the contract at any time because the time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Their contract term is over. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, yeah, so that may be the reason.
I've never had that anyway.
Yeah.
I
had it, but I lost it because I wanted a new phone. Here's Amazon's.
Yes, Proctor. I'm sorry.
So what?
I was just checking my messages. Yes, Proctor.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Here's Amazon's reboot of the Tick, Nick.
No.
Wow.
Okay.
It's their live action reboot. I don't know. I kind of feel like the main character can't be anyone other than the live action Tick previous main character. That guy was like perfect for it. This guy looks kind of weird in the costume, especially.
Patrick Warburton.
What was the Moth sidekick? He looks more like he should be that guy.
He was the live action Tick.
Yeah. That guy was awesome in it. This guy looks kind of, he does look like the Moth sidekick guy.
And the actor has no chin. Thanks, Quark.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Okay, so Tick, for all you Tick fans, take a note. Getting back to so EFF looks like it's suing the U.S. government to invalidate the ARM provision of the DMCA, calling it unconstitutional. So we'll see where that goes. I'm sure it's going to be a year or more from now before we ever figure out where that's going to head.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Don't believe that particular link has anything to do with Whoopi.
Why is her picture in the middle of the two Tick pictures?
I think she's possibly in the show. And she's interviewing him, maybe? That's kind of what it made it look like. But maybe she actually did interview that person for the show.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out if it was. Well, does she have like a. Did she.
Anyway, I think Phoenix mentioned it earlier, but Microsoft's response to yesterday we talked about France, or I briefly mentioned that France was complaining that they were collecting too much data, and some coverage of their response. Basically, from what I understand, they didn't say they didn't do anything wrong. They just said they'd work with them. So, whatever, take that as you will.
Um,
Oh, and did you? Amazon lost a big contract. It looks like.
Who did?
With Amazon, Birkenstocks can no longer be sold on Amazon at all, and it would appear that it's because Amazon failed to stop counterfeit Chinese manufacturer, or from selling on there. So
Blows my mind people buy those anyway. Still make them like they did.
holy crap. So if y'all haven't looked into the guy, the Kickass torrent guy, he got caught because he operated a Facebook fan page for Kickass torrents. He used his own email address, which was an @me email address, which is owned by Apple.
yeah,
So he used his Apple email address for his Facebook fan page. And having that, they found from Apple that he made a purchase, recorded his IP address, and linked it to Bitcoin accounts. For holy crap, man.
you think you would have known better.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, that's depressing. But that goes to show everyone out there that it's not just effective to, its endpoint where are you coming out? VPNs, HTTPS, these are all by themselves not sufficient alone to ensure security of a system. And just like school days, you have to keep track of where you go and what identity you use to go in and out. And if any, you can correlate things together, even a couple of spots, it's good enough for law enforcement in most cases, particularly with the way the laws are. It's going to be hard to argue the details of it at that point. So, just again, why didn't he know any better?
I mean, when you think about it, though, it is a lot to keep in mind. There's a lot to pay attention to. I do have another link on that same topic about privacy.
Okay. Did you want to share?
This is the Not Crazy Person's Guide to Online Privacy. Full disclosure, didn't read the whole thing, but some of the points in there were kind of interesting.
Are they valid as far as you could see so far in your perusal of the?
I mean, basically, they're like, try the two-factor stuff. Don't use public Wi-Fi.
We agree with those things.
I'm not sure about the subscribing to an identity theft monitoring service. Maybe looking for something that does that, like with one of your other
existing banking institutions. Maybe. I'm a little bit less. I don't generally promote those types of things, although I imagine from your own institution that it would be a legitimate service. So I don't know.
Using an end-to-end encryption app, it's just good to have people aware of that stuff. The taping over your webcam. Well,
I mean, if Mark Zuckerberg does it.
Yeah, but then also invest in an audio jammer.
Oh God, that's a little paranoid, I believe.
Yeah, that's getting a little bit more into the crazier side, especially with
especially with the tape and the other stuff. Yeah.
Run tails and wear sunglasses.
Oh,
now the sunglasses, I did find the sunglasses to be a really interesting point, because apparently there's a lot of data in between how much distance there is between your eyes. So like how far apart your eyes are like a big.
So my all-time favorite excuse of the future's so bright I've got to wear shades actually does apply. I can use that for a good purpose.
Well, your future, if your future is in advertising, is very bright. There's a lot of data out there on people.
No, well, I'm gonna start wearing
Selfies all the time.
blocking.
Their identifying mark.
Where's my sunglasses? Oh, that's right. I don't own sunglasses. That's a problem for my security.
Buying a bug scanner. I've always been interested in this, but this is more of just a hobby, not a.
Did somebody bring up that, or do you just?
No, that's on the page.
Oh, okay.
That same page we've been talking about. They have buy a bug scanner, and I would be interested in having a bug scanner, but I don't know if that's kind of on the crazy person side. I feel dismantling your smartphone. They have Snowden show you how to take out the microphone and camera and essentially make your phone worthless.
Okay.
Another interesting note, though, I did see a link out there.
How to remove your SIM? I mean,
wait. Edward Snowden came out with a phone case to protect your phone from surveillance.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Does
it encases it? And I guess I would hope Faraday cages it, but
Faraday-like cage type device. Yes.
Do Faraday cages have to be large?
No. You can. Yeah, Faraday. You could. I mean, there are things that are effectively. Your microwave is effectively a Faraday cage, and they can make those pretty small. But can it make it?
My microwave's a Faraday cage. Why is all that stuff coming out of it?
What stuff is coming out of it exactly?
Like all the radio interference and electromagnetism.
Well,
remember when I had the Bluetooth scanner that showed the 2.4 gigahertz?
Oh, maybe it's the other way around on that. It's not letting it in. No, it's letting it out. No, it is. But then it's got to be something else outside of it that's generating that. I don't know how that works.
Anyway, so you can have little tiny ones. That would be cool. But yeah, some of those are worth it. Other ones, I guess, are worth it too. It's, I guess, not being a crazy person is looking less and less like not being a crazy person as time goes on. Like if you want to have any kind of privacy, and privacy is not already dead.
Okay, so there wanted to talk about two quick things. One, I wanted to address.
Hey, wait. Based on that privacy stuff, I have a really, really awesome video. You're going to have to watch it. It's like the best video ever. If you don't click this link, it's amazing. You're going to miss like 30 seconds of your life will be changed forever.
Yeah, okay, so this is about the Faraday. Just to follow up really quick, the Faraday follow-up about the microwave thing. So I wasn't completely off base, but it's not exactly straightforward.
I was trying to get you to click that link, Michael.
No, I don't click on your links, Brantley. I stopped doing that, especially when they're prefaced with the words face and book in the domain name. But that, yeah, that's interesting. It
is a good video, though. That guy falls off a water slide down a cliff. That's why you don't do water slides on mountains.
I think it's more important. I just bought a cell phone, a new cell phone recently, and I saw this article. So I'm assuming any of the cell phones currently on the market don't have this, but Corning's got a new Gorilla Glass out there.
Number 5.
Take that new Gorilla Glass and shove it up their ass.
Well, yeah, 80% of the time, apparently, it'll save you. 80%.
Nick is not a fan of their previous Gorilla Glass 4.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Gorilla Glass 4 because I had, within a week of having it, I have 3 deep scratches.
Well, if 5 is
from nothing, I don't even know.
80% of the time, you got to believe 4 is a lot less.
Gorilla Glass 3, I had that thing for a year and a half. Not a scratch on it, and I treated it way worse.
So maybe that's why they released 5 so quickly. Maybe there's a lot of problems.
I bet. I think they owe me some damn money.
That's what's on the S7 Edge, and I don't have any issues with it so far.
I don't know what to say.
Also, Brantley's phone is brand new, but I do have scratches on mine.
So is mine.
That's because you're really rough on your phones.
No, I'm not.
I think Johnny thinks throwing her phone is the same as putting it in her pocket.
I don't throw my phone. You do. That's why your phone was broken. That's why
That's
you
not
got
why
a
my
new
phone
one.
is broken.
Oh, and I didn't know in
I use
recent
it so
Pokemon
much.
Go news, it looks like there was an existing 15-year-old ban on Pokemon for Zionism promotion. And
In Saudi Arabia,
yeah. And so they renewed it with
play.
the. Yeah, apparently. Here's a link and from Times of Israel. Boop, boop.
What was that?
What?
I don't know.
The
But
boo-boo.
What was that?
That was like that weird
Are
Howard Dean
you?
sound effect that lost him the election that year, remember?
You won't sign on to your Facebook page, but you'll throw up gang signs.
Are you in an Israeli gang?
no, I'm not in it.
He's representing.
No, I just like the Hebe, my brother Hebe's out there. I love him to death.
Well, if anyone wants to see a humpback whale surprisingly jump up beside a paddle boat boarder, there you go. Have y'all ever thought about paddle boarding? Do you know what that is? Yeah.
Yes.
What?
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
had
I'm
a paddle
coordinated
board.
enough to stand on that thing.
Why? I mean, I had one in my pond for a while before it broke, but
In your backyard?
well, yeah, in the pond, yeah.
Oh,
In between your
first
mom's
time I
house
saw
and yours.
those,
Mhm.
I know what you said. I'm looking. The first time I saw those, I was at a downtown Mania restaurant. And I was looking out the window, and there was this. I swear the guy must have been 70 years old, and he had a little kid, couldn't have been 10, and they was just going together side by side, like smooth as could be. And I was like, what? Apparently, it's stable enough. I would imagine, or they're just really in shape, coordinated. I don't think I could do it on my ankle. Oh, did I just? Sorry. I'm looking for anything I can do to change my mood right now. On top of being sick as hell. Excuse me. Language.
Here, you can watch 2 Chainz get really high and try on expensive sunglasses. And then, if you continue watching that video, you'll see another thing, which I never knew that 2 Chainz had a show called The Most Expensive Things Ever. And it's basically just 2 Chainz going around and finding out what's the most expensive stuff that you can buy.
What? Why do we want to look at that? Why do we want to look at that?
It's
Listen,
kind of funny.
and along the same lines as what I was talking about earlier with Verizon overstepping. Okay, so now let's say you have FiOS. Now let's say you have FiOS and you have an old router. Now Verizon wants to slap a charge on you to support your older router on their network so you can have the best experience. What is that? $2.80 plus taxes. Monthly router maintenance charge. You have whatever they consider to be an older router based upon their internal standards. I mean,
you think that's because of support?
Yeah, they have to pay somebody to tell the person to turn off and on an old router again. Really, anything that they use to support their current routers are going to be perfectly applicable to the older routers, and whatever differences are going to not account to any cost equation for them. They're already supporting it. What do they have to change? It's only going to save them the cost of the money they'll save from firing those people that currently support it. So again, this is just crap. That's just because they have a monopoly. If somebody has FiOS, it's not going to change.
It's probably just because the old router doesn't do all the evil shit that they want to do.
the evil stuff. They want to do some blocking of you. They want to monetize your. They want to maybe their old routers weren't measuring your bandwidth usage or something like that. Who knows? Maybe it could be something weird like that. And yeah, screw them. Yeah, force me to put something in my home that does something that I don't want it to do, and then make me pay for it. I mean, what?
Well, how about this for interesting?
Or your other option is to buy a different router for $60.
Yeah, well, the problem with FiOS is that it's got a different type of connection on it. It's not just as easy as walking into your local Best Buy and picking up a replacement.
Yeah, I see.
It's got it's more like a cable modem. It's going to have a coaxial connector.
That's why they're charging for old stuff. I bet they even swap out the new stuff for free. People are just lazy.
Yeah, well, if it's what John thinks or Nick thinks, and I'm kind of in line with that, there's no reason they should be forcing new routers down people's throats if they're happy with them. There's no reason, even if they did give it to you for free. Nobody gives away anything for free. There's a reason they're paying for it. And it's so they can flip a switch and make you spread free Wi-Fi everywhere, and so have all your neighbors, mooching off your internet connection. They'll do something. I bet it only applies to old Wi-Fi routers too. Yeah.
Mooching off your internet connection. That's not how that works, but.
There's an engineer apparently wired his own town.
Hey, look, a trauma surgeon, a crash expert, and an artist teamed up to show you what people would look like if they evolved to survive car crashes.
Oh, what? Why do we need to? Oh, no, what? Car wreck. Don't crash your car. Be safe. Practice defensive driving.
Or else your grandchildren will look really, really weird.
Well, anyway, I thought it was more important to focus on, you're right, Brantley, not focusing on things I can complain about and all those stuff with Verizon and Comcast and Suddenlink and Time Warner Cable, all the ones we could love to hate, all those guys. But there's a solution. We could roll our own internet access. Not saying it's easy, and this was only applicable to a very small farming community, but I guess it can be done. In certain areas, at least. I doubt around.
Futures Tech Eric has a tech question.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Please let me know what it is, Eric.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Johnny, for the notification of that. Anybody looking to buy a new power supply? Michael,
we're waiting for the question. Don't start a new thing.
It's going to be a quick thing. All right, but he's already... my brother has a corporate machine that cannot boot automatically to the boot drive. But... if he manually chooses the boot drive from the boot menu, it boots just fine. It won't automatically... Okay, is this a modern UEFI BIOS? If it's a modern UEFI BIOS, certain boot devices are listed more than once.
Isn't it? There used to be an old setting in the gateways and some others after a while that it was like a pre-delay or something like that you could set, and it basically is a mechanical hard drive. Because it'd be like one of those things, like there used to be a setting, in a lot of those where you could there was a hard disk pre-delay or something like that. But it would basically give the BIOS would give the hard drive extra time.
What happens when it tries to boot regularly? Like, I mean, is the the device set to boot to the hard drive, and does it say like a error with the hard drive after that?
I bet it has something to do with the Windows 10 bootloader and the how he's the actual selection that it is in the BIOS. But
Well, it's an older
device not
computer. It
found.
looks
It
like.
is an older
Look,
computer.
look
Okay.
for that hard disk pre-delay or some setting like
Yeah,
that.
the
It used to start
pre-delay.
off at like 3 seconds, and it doesn't mean you have to wait 3 seconds for a boot. It means that
I'm with Nick.
it will wait up to that long if it needs to for the hard.
Even modern UEFI BIOSes, I think, still have a boot delay in there somewhere that you can turn on, although I think it's not used as much because they're more focused on faster booting times. But absolutely, that would be the only reason to explain why it would function subsequently after selecting it. Those extra seconds, literally, just.
Well, it's one of those things where I have seen that before because I had one that would and it was like I'd use a boot CD to boot it, you know.
Yeah, and it's a mechanical drive, so that's, of course, yeah, definitely.
I mean, usually when I get that boot device not found, though, it's because the wrong thing is set to default in the BIOS.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm only adamant about it because when I worked at Gateway customer support in like 01 or 2 or something, that was like a big deal then. And I've seen it a lot since then. It's been a while, obviously.
Yeah.
Is there another disk in the machine that's set in the boot order prior to the hard drive?
Yeah, that or because a lot of a lot of BIOS do like have like you pick hard drive, but then they have a separate sub one that you pick which hard drive you want to load.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the other thing too is I've had flash drives in and have the boot order set to flash drive first, and the flash drive doesn't have anything on it, so it tries to boot to that flash drive, but it doesn't have anything on it. That's when you get a boot device not found. You have to look at the boot order of what the BIOS is booting at. That's what I would look at first.
Hey, listen, also, too, if you haven't already done so, if it is an HP, you might want to just check to see if there is a BIOS update of some sort that may, it may resolve an issue every once in a while. Especially on a corporate machine, they tend to not do any BIOS updates on those at all, or at least very infrequently. I don't know, just something worth a check.
That'll be fun if you can do a BIOS update on a corporate machine. That's really secure.
If they even allow it.
Corporation.
But in drone news, I didn't realize they were going to start using, I mean, it makes kind of sense, but maybe start using some drones for lifeguard duty, possibly. I don't know, that could be interesting. I wonder what the Baywatch episode would have been like foretelling the future where they no longer had jobs. Well, I guess that's the present, but anyway. Here's I guess, an astronomy.
Hold on, wait. Eric has some more updates.
Oh.
So it is set to be the first boot device and not the CD or DVD, and no flash drive is connected. Yeah, BIOS update, and then also the stuff
Find the boot delay
about the boot stuff, or the boot delay stuff that Nick mentioned. Those all three could be it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, scratch the BIOS option. Scratch the BIOS update being the cause. So look for a boot delay option. And what was the third one?
Boot delay option, and then possibly checking the boot record on the drive.
Huh. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel right that it's saying boot device not found, and it's giving you that.
No, it doesn't. Now, does the BIOS allow you to select the type? Like, you have the right hard drive selected, but is it interpreting the hard drive correctly? Like, is it passing the extended, what is it called? in 13 or whatever it is to access the hard drive. There might be an access mode in the BIOS, in other words, for accessing the hard drive. Just make sure it's set correctly. And you said it was an HP. What particular model HP did he say?
I don't think he said.
Is it a notebook or is it a desktop? I'm assuming it's a desktop. Repeat that, Michael. It's past smart tests as well. Repeat what? What did I say? So you want to go into the BIOS and look for the disk type. So in other words, inside the BIOS, you'll be able to select the hard disk, but usually there's a way to like configure the hard drive, like to, used to be enable smart or turn off smart, or 32-bit addressing on old school BIOSes used to be something you could enable. And then maybe the type of the disk, like when it says hard drive or CD-ROM, that type of thing. Is there something you can change there, or is there some other value regarding like the translation of the CHS or the way it talks to the drive? And he doesn't know the model number. He just knows it's HP. I'm looking at a couple of HP specific things. Are you getting any codes that go along with the boot device not found? Is there a code in the message you get? Take care. Oh, he's gone.
I don't know on that.
It says it in some cases. It indicates that the hard drive has problems, but okay, no code. Got it. Thanks, Eric. Let me. I'm looking at something right now. Give me a moment. I might have some more information for you shortly.
Hey, it looks like ISO Hunt has put the Kickass Torrents page back up and are asking people to sign a petition and explaining what happened.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Don't
go there because your IP is probably going to be logged.
It's possible that there's a. Have you checked the physical connectivity of the hard drive in the machine?
I doubt that.
Well, from what I understand, that's a somewhat common problem, especially if it's one of those smaller machines that, and in an office, they're knocked over or something like that, could easily cause something, possibly.
Go ahead and replace your IDE cable.
Well, no, I mean,
might as well go ahead.
No, I mean, the fact that it's booted on the second, attempt, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that that's it, but it could be like a warming up thing where it warms up enough and kind of makes the connection and it doesn't quite make it on the first attempt if it's kind of loose. I don't know, just something to think about. And so Windows 7. Wish I knew the model number. That would be so helpful. Okay, he'll check some other things tonight. If you could remote into it, you might be able to pull some of the information. We might need to look further into it, but still think that boot delay thing too might be the option. There's a cool Curiosity rover picture, by the way, if anybody wants to take a look at. I love space pictures. Last thing he told me was that he can boot to any device if he selects it from the boot menu, but it will not boot as part of the normal boot sequence.
Yeah, it sounds like a BIOS system issue, so I say just throw the machine away. And then tell corporate that they gotta get them a new one. And not the same one. A better one that boots correctly. Hey, maybe this will interest Phoenix, even though he's not in Phoenix, but this is a storm cloud overtaking Phoenix, Arizona.
Looks like as much as we love to fight copyright and put them in our law in this country, looks like I don't know if they're actually guilty, but it looks like the U.S. Navy ended up, while they were in negotiations to do a purchase, didn't actually make the purchase, went ahead and started deploying the software, never paid for it, and then actively worked to circumvent the copyright mechanisms within the software. And it sounds like they got a really strong case, but my guess is, I don't know. Will anything happen? We'll see. Will they pay? Probably, because they have black hole budgets. And did we talk about it on the show yesterday, or talk about Japan making its last VHS? Did we talk about that yesterday?
No.
Okay, well, Japan's making their the last Japanese company, at least, that makes VHS, the actual drive, not the tapes, but the drives, VCRs themselves. Will no longer make them anymore. There's a lot of repair shops. I know I was talking with Proctor, and he mentions that there's a guy in his town that repairs those all the time, has tons of business with them, and it's sort of understandable. There's a huge amount of content that went on to those. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting when I found that.
What were you talking about earlier? Building a net? A local internet?
Yeah, the guy in the farm town that built the ISP. Is that what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
What about it?
What do we got to do that? Do you have like a list of required items?
Well, maybe in that link, I gotta let's see where. Let me go back up. Where was it? Do-it-yourself approach to internet access. So at 1637.40. It was a long project, from what I understood. He started with a single Wi-Fi node in 2004.
Well, they did it all with Wi-Fi?
Yeah, but gigabit.
Gigabit Wi-Fi?
Mm-hmm.
So 5G?
Well, certainly not when he started in 2004. Let's see what his progress were. Incredibly cheap, by the way, inexpensive. But it is Wi-Fi, yeah. I guess you can't. Yeah, that's the only way around having to spend the money for the actual lines, which most people can't afford. So you can't really do a do-it-yourself one with traditional backbone. You can only do it wireless.
That's what I was thinking. Like, if we ran wire between each of us, we could have our own internet.
Yeah, we could. I mean, but that's
CFO. Can you check our budget? We need to run fiber from South Carolina to North Carolina to the beach.
I'm checking. No.
No. No. What? Did you look long enough and hard enough into that?
Can you imagine all the regulations alone that you would have to go through to run wire from here to each of our houses?
I can't.
That's like interstate. stuff too. So.
Mm. Mm.
And then you're talking about like digging up other people's property.
Well, I wasn't promoting doing any of this. I was just talking about the Wi-Fi one that I was talking about.
We're gonna have Wi-Fi nodes connecting each of us. Oh, that's real secure, Michael.
I wasn't suggesting it was a solution for us, but if you want to not involve an ISP, apparently you can truly make a wide area internet. So it's cool. I like stories like that. I like people taking things into their own hands and not just relying upon what the providers are going to offer them. And that's why, as part of all my arguments, and it's my own fault that I'm so what that they have a monopoly. I can just choose not to access the internet. But I could also spend the next decade building my own internet, one device at a time.
I think you should do that. It will really help. Supply the entire town you live at with Wi-Fi, Michael.
I love the science articles. I'd post every Ars article if I could, honestly. It's the ones that the physics articles at least. But yeah, they still haven't found dark matter yet. Still working on that. Big problem since they use it in so many theories. That's what I wonder if somebody they pull the one little card out from beneath and so many of them crumble. But it is largely.
Still haven't found dark matter yet?
No.
That just doesn't make sense. I mean, they cured cancer. Why can't they do that?
Did they cure cancer? Did they? Okay.
Well, they just need to turn the lights on. Everybody knows you can't see in the dark.
That's true. That's true. Easiest way to find dark matter, make sure you have the lights on.
Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. It's just like scientists to say, let's see. Let's look for something that's completely dark.
Hey, before we wrap up for today, let's talk about Johnny's experience.
Uh-oh.
So first we want to make a public announcement. Apparently the tech scam calls are becoming much more prevalent. Johnny's had 2 in how recent has it been, Johnny?
Monday, I think.
So over the past week. Yeah, over the past week, Johnny's had 2 calls from tech scams. So
it happened to me once in the past 2 weeks as well, by the way.
And if you have customers out there, just make sure they know that nobody will ever call to help fix you with your computer, especially if you can't understand them. But we like to have some fun with them. So the first one, what did you tell them, Johnny?
That I worked for Microsoft, or that I worked for Windows. So
they told her, they told her that they work for Windows and that there was something wrong with her computer. She was like, "No, there's not. I want to tell you this because I work for Windows. I know."
There's a big window. You should see my window. The boss.
So they hung up on her. The second one, she came to me and wanted to give me the phone. I was like, no, let's have you do it. I think it'll play out better.
Oh, this is fun.
And so she is on the phone with them, and they're like, can you go to your computer? Can you turn your computer? Or can you can you go to your computer? And she's like, yeah, sure. And she's like, all right, can you go to your desktop? And she's like, well, do I have to have it turned on? And she was like, yeah, you have to have it turned on. She's like, all right, well, I have to have it plugged in to turn it on, right? And she's like, yeah, you have to plug it in to turn it on. All right, so now you have your computer turned on, right, ma'am? And she's like, yeah. He's like, well, your computer's infected, so I'm going to tell you how to check your address in your computer. And Johnny's like, check my address? Why is my address in my computer? It doesn't have anything to do with my computer. And she just keeps freaking out about things that she says. And then Johnny,
I'm sorry about that.
She asked me what to say next, and I'm like, tell them that your computer is infected. So when you start up your computer, the only thing you see on your screen is a message that says your computer is infected. You have to pay money to access your computer again. So that's all you can see on the screen, and just tell them that and deal with it. And she ended up talking to this girl, and basically, like, she was like, all right, can you see your icon? She's like, no, I can't. There's this big message on the screen that just says, my computer's infected and I have to pay money to access it. And the lady on the phone's like, no, we're a free service. We don't charge you anything. And she's like, I know you don't, but my computer is infected and telling me that I have to pay for it. So they were trying to connect to a computer that was already infected, but they didn't pick up on that for quite some time. They kept trying to get her to connect. And then Johnny asked to speak to a supervisor and asked like 4 or 5 times in a row until the lady handed it over to a supervisor. And this was a guy that she could understand a lot better. And Johnny explained the entire story to him again about her computer being off, being unplugged because the computer's infected, and she knows it's not them that's asking for money and it's a free service, and that they are trying to help, but her computer's infected and she doesn't know what to do, so she just wants to get help with her computer being infected. So they're thinking that or telling her computer's infected, but she's also saying her computer's infected, and the guy just goes, "Oh, well, I'm very sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am. You have a nice day. Bye bye." Just hangs up on her. Stuff's fun. So, all right. Do we have anything else important, big, good? We've made it to an hour today.
I was talking about comic books in the chat, so it looks like I was thinking about it. Who here, as I was never big into comics, so I never read the real ones, and I certainly really haven't wanted to get into it later. But I mean, I'm not against them in any way, but I just haven't done it. Do any of you look at them, and do you? I'm assuming there's an electronic version that you would be looking at if you were looking at them today, correct? Not actual comic books. Yeah. The print ones. I'm sure if you're a collector or something, you probably have access to that as well. But I didn't. I would think that this would be a problem for that type of. In some ways, it's better, with the higher resolutions maybe, but the maybe more problematic as well with the print and stuff and reading them, actually consuming them. Or is it just better? I don't know. These are just questions I had because I never read comics.
I don't read them either. So I guess there's your answer.
I would love to answer you, but I haven't. It's been a while since I was trying to read e-comic. But there was, I had like a comic book reader, 5 or 10 years ago, that long ago, when they started trying that. And then there started like a couple of them popped up, there were several, but it was like none of them. They used the same format. It worked worth the crap, it was crashing, just slow and ugly, and just, I don't know, limited selection. I don't know what it's like now. Maybe they're all on Kindle. Get yourself a Kindle.
Well, no, I just
they're all on a website anyway. I'm sure it's all a mobile experience now anyway. I wouldn't worry about it. And wasn't there a site we saw the other day that had it was a subscription to like all comics ever?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. Yeah, I think you can read them right on the web. I think it's HTML5.
It was only for DC Comics or something like that.
Oh, that's what. No, maybe. No, because I wouldn't have been interested. I was slightly interested. I thought I looked at it. I care not for DC.
Oh, okay. So so comic books are designed to be read on 7 by 10.5 page, and apparently going to the small screens like a phone or something like that, or a tablet, is probably not the best solution. So I think Google's solution was to track your eyes and basically zoom in on the speech bubbles. Well, not your site. Actually, you have to tap. So, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense either. Well, people read comics differently, though. See the comics a lot. A lot of other people, you meet other people who do comics, and I would read comics, and I was reading the story. And then other people I saw read comics would occasionally look at the words.
Where does the machine learning come in, though?
Art. But then again, that was back when they used art in comics. Now it's just a little different.
Yeah.
Does the machine learning just come in whether or not they can detect? Is this just detecting what a bubble is, what a speech bubble basically is? Because that's what it looks like, and that's not a whole lot of machine learning, Google. But maybe
One
this.
would think that they would just do away with that whole speech bubble thing and then just have the art and put the thing somewhere else, like at the bottom of the screen in regular text.
Yeah. So, something else interesting I just noticed is Twitter has opened up its verified account. Previously, verified accounts were only handed out to specific people that Twitter recognized. Now you can actually go through the process of verifying your own account. But you have to actually have an impact on your field and be worthy of them spending time verifying you. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
Yeah, but it's not show worthy.
Oh, okay. Well, let's wrap her up then. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. And mainly we're here to provide support and answer any questions about our products or services or any tech stuff in general, as Eric has seen. And otherwise, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Better.
Yep.
Take us on out, Proctor.